Welcome back to Collaboration Conversations. I am your co host, Regina Partain Bergman, and today I am joined by a very special guest co host. As you know, my co host, Pearl Cox, is unable to be with us right now. And so we have Amanda. Guer- I struggle with this, Amanda.
I know.
Guerassio.
There you go. You got it.
She worked on me for that about 5 minutes yesterday, trying to get me in the right place. So Amanda is our guest co-host today, and I'm so thrilled to have her here and the guest panelists that she's brought with her. But let's start with Amanda and learn a little bit about her. So Amanda, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, who you serve, and why?
Yeah. So, hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Amanda Guerassio of Studio Guerassio. I am a brand strategist and designer. So, what I do is I help my clients kind of sort through all the ideas they have about what they want their brand to be, help them clarify that, and then bring it to life in their design materials. And I love doing that. Branding's what I'm good at, what I like doing, what helps my clients the most. So, that's how I've ended up at branding. And these days I work mostly with serial entrepreneurs. So like the strivers, the freedom seekers, the ones that, work to live, not live to work, and want a business that allows them to have that freedom in their life. So that's who I really work with these days.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I know you're doing a great job of that. And I love that serial entrepreneurs. I've worn that label for a long time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Amanda, would you introduce our guest panelists, please?
Sure will. And I'll just go in order that you guys are on my screen. So first up is Debbie Dannon. And I met her through, I think it was the Rachel Rogers group, right? The We Should All Be Millionaires. And we connected on LinkedIn and have kind of been buddies and supporting each other on there. And I know that like collaboration and connection is one of her core values. So I thought of her when I was putting together this panel. And so Debbie, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda and Regina, for having me. So I'm Debbie Danon. I'm based in London, as you might be able to tell from the accent. And I am a certified coach and also a leadership consultant. I have a framework called Rebel Leadership, which helps mission-driven leaders to build cultures of flourishing that reflect their values. So I've been through many incarnations of my business, and one of which was a partnership business with as a Jewish woman. I had a Muslim co-founder of a company called Trust Lab, and we ran that for 3.5 years. And it also came to a logical end. And we used to have, fun fact, a course called How to Be a Super Collaborator on LinkedIn. It's now on Social Talent. So there you go. That's me.
Awesome.
Love it.
All right. Next up is Lauren Loreto. And we connected, I think, initially through Instagram. I've been following her on there for a while. And I was actually a guest on her podcast. She did a live marketing audit for me earlier this year, I think it was, right? And yeah, so Lauren, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Brand Good Time?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Regina and Amanda. I really appreciate it. Was super excited to hop on here. So I am the founder of Brand Good Time. We are a marketing agency. We actually just transitioned from being a consultancy to an agency. So super, super exciting shift for us. We offer strategy, design, and development for all sorts of marketing campaigns. And yeah, aside from that, we have our podcast. And one thing that really built my business from my former business to one today is collaboration. I mean, and sitting on here right now, Haley and I actually collaborate on client projects together. She's going to be helping us out a lot more here at Brand Good Time too. So, I mean, it's really the foundation of a lot of visibility and for our business, and that's something that we preach to all our clients. It's our massive goal to help our clients become more visible, and collaboration, I think, is one of just the strongest, most ethical, honest ways to do that. Really love it. So excited to be here and chat more about that.
Awesome. Next up, we have Stacy Luces. I met Stacy through a networking group that we're both part of called Fem City, which I actually would recommend all of you check out. If you're talking about authentic, meaningful, supportive connection and collaboration, Fem City is a place to go. So we connected through that. And yeah, I thought with her background as an executive coach and just some of the chats we've had informally that she would be awesome on this panel as well. So Stacy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Regina and Amanda, thank you so much for having me. It's really awesome to meet all of you also. So I'm Stacy Luces. I am an executive coach, and I work specifically with women in the sandwich generation. And what that means is executives or business owners that are sandwiched between taking care of young kids and their aging and ailing parents. And so I designed sort of this really creative roadmap that helps them get from frustration and overwhelm to clarity, confidence, and certainty. And so it's been a fun ride, and Amanda and I sort of bonded over that. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very glad you're here. And last but certainly not least is Haley Johnson, who I think initially connected with on Instagram, but I am part of one of her programs as well about growing your LinkedIn through connection and collaboration and content. So Haley, why don't you tell us about what you do?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Haley. I am a trauma-informed copywriter and marketing strategist. And then, as Amanda mentioned, I'm also a LinkedIn educator. I call myself an accidental LinkedIn expert because I certainly did not set out, after college to become this LinkedIn mouthpiece. But here I am. So on the LinkedIn and education side of things, we help our students and our members create really authentic LinkedIn and other lead gen strategies that make sense for their personality. So for some people, it's a lot of connection and a lot of collaboration. For some people, it's a lot of content. And we really just try to give people the opportunity to create and experiment with a strategy that feels good to them. And then on the service side of my business, I help values-driven service providers create copy and marketing strategies that, again, feel good for them and also feel good for their ideal clients. So no sleazy, salesy garbage, any of that stuff. Everything's just marketing that feels good for people who do good, and that's really what drives me through. And yeah, I've gotten to work with Lauren on some stuff. We've got Lauren and Amanda in our membership. So this is just a collaboration heavy group right now, and I'm happy to be here.
This is a collaboration heavy group. I love it. You are all doing amazing things. I love the work that you're doing in the world, and that you all have a vision for impacting the world. That's really important to me as well. For me, I always say it's all about the ripple effect, right? If I help someone else in their business and they go out and change other lives, I get to be a part of that ripple. So it's wonderful to meet you all. So let's talk about collaborations and share some value with folks in terms of the benefits of collaborating. You've all focused on that a bit already just in your introduction, so I know that you're all really on this page, and I love that. What's been one of the greatest rewards or values that you've gotten from a collaboration? And just anybody who wants to share on that.
I think for me, it's just been, I know, people hear collaboration, they think, what's the benefit? What's the value? Am I getting ROI or stuff? Or, it's kind of in the back of our heads. But for me, it's just been the people I've met, like just the fabulous people I've met, the conversations I've had. That to me has been the biggest benefit. Like people I might not have run across in like the normal walk of life, but because of this focus on collaboration and outreach and business, it's brought wonderful people into my circle, like all of you ladies. So that's been great for me.
Awesome. And go ahead. Who said that?
No, I was going to say, I think for me, collaboration at the heart of it is connection and relationships. And while I agree with Amanda, I think a lot of times we think about what's the ROI, and the best collaborations I've been on have been sort of collaborations of the heart, for lack of a better word. But, I was on the board, I was on the board of UN Women in the Miami chapter. I live in Florida. And some of the collaborations we did with, organizations in other countries, and sort of opening yourself up to learning and sort of knowing that we don't know what we don't know. and just having a different perspective certainly, I think, helped me in my business wear a different lens and have a different perspective on how I serve women. So I think for me, it really was that growth element to it.
I like that. It's something I don't automatically think of in terms of when I think collaboration. I don't automatically think of organization to organization. I think more of individual to individual, but that is so important, that level of collaboration as well.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense where like Haley and I have collaborated on projects, we collaborate in a way to enhance the end result for a client. For like we have one common denominator, one common goal, and you know, I come in and do my piece, Haley comes in and does her piece, and like if we didn't have one of those pieces, who's to say where that client or that project might have ended up? But we just know it's so much stronger because we're working together on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think too, collaboration can really help you like realize your own strengths and help the people that you're collaborating with realize their own strengths.
Everybody's head was going like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep just like talking about me and Lauren, but like we were talking about this the other day, like on paper, I think we are very similar and we could run very similar businesses. And we were talking about like, you know, when we first met, we were like, are you competition? Like, I don't really understand. And then from like the second we collaborated, it was so clear, like who's stronger in which department and like how we can emphasize one another's strengths to like get a better end result for the client. And as much as collaboration is great for your own personal benefit, it really at the end of the day is about, you know, the people that you're working with and the people that you're serving, and to be able to amplify that for them is like so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Totally. I can totally see it, the kind of balancing of strengths. Like I'm currently one of the founding faculty members of a women's liberatory coaching collective called Coven. It was started by Gaz Samandari, who's we trained together as coaches and we became very good friends. But you know, we could have stayed that way. We could have just been, you know, friends helping each other along in business. But she's got a real vision for you know, she's got a vision which is much, much bigger than any one person can deliver alone. So she brought myself and Alicia Harris on board, and Alicia and I, we're all really different. And our Gaz actually asked us, she said, what would you want to contribute to this? And how much money eventually would you like to be taking home a month from this? Like, she was super open about it. And she was like, let's get really equitable about this. Let's get really clear about this. Like, we all have a vision that women of all identities should have access to the resources, the community, to be able to rid themselves of these limiting beliefs. So what part of the vision do we want to be a contribution to? So hearing Lauren and Haley going up, okay, which part of the vision am I contributing to? It just completely clicks for me. And it became really clear in our conversation that Gaz facilitated that, you know, Alicia really, she's kind of launch and campaign whiz, and also she's brilliant on the kind of project management side. I'm much more on the content and delivery design side, and I really want to be doing more one-to-one coaching. And Gaz just is the vision keeper, and she's also brilliant at sales and building relationships. So it kind of naturally, much like Lauren and Haley, fell into this thing. But also, it is a collaboration of the heart, I think, as I think the best collaborations really allow us to step into our gifts, because we don't have to be all things to all people.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I was thinking too, like I'm on the board of the Austin chapter of Fem City, and right now it's just two of us. It's the president and me, and we've kind of had to, you know, we collaborate really well, and she handles kind of like the outreach, the promotion, the stuff, and then I'm the organizer. You know, I like set up the events, make sure everybody has the Zoom links. Like we each have our own strengths, and together we make it work better. So I think that's definitely a key part to a good collaboration.
Yeah. And what you reminded me of as you're talking about that, ladies, too, is not only strengths in a collaborative group, but also different aspects of business in a collaborative group. So about a year and a half ago, I started a group that's called Business Superheroes. And each person in there, we're a group of about 8 people, 8 different businesses, but when each one that I invited represented a different aspect of business. So there's someone in there who's in automation. There's someone in there who is a copywriter. There's, someone in leadership, whatever. There's like 8 different roles that we all play, but they were all things that could support any business. And so the idea is to support one another, but to also be looking for those opportunities where we can come together to support businesses. So we've seen several partnerships within the group of 2 or 3 people. We haven't actually achieved one client where we're all all working on it yet. but there's been lots of good things that have come out of that. So yeah, that group collaboration can be really exciting. Stacey, you're nodding your head. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I was listening to what you were saying, and a lot of times within collaborations, you want to bring yourself to the table in an assertive way, or, the old school kind of, I should say in the past, kind of very masculine traits. And I find that in collaborations now, we're bringing a lot of feminine energy. And I think specifically after the pandemic, like there's been this real kind of humanity shift to coming to the table, the boardroom, the contract, whatever, with a lot of goodwill and a lot of like, tell me kind of what's really going on in your life. And that allows us to kind of adjust, but it also brings, enables a level of trust to be built really quickly. And I think when you're having a collaboration, sometimes you need that level of trust to scope up really quickly, especially if you're doing something that's larger scale. And so I think allowing yourself to kind of lean into your natural energy and sort of your strengths, but also I think Amanda and I are very similar, but we're also very different. We were accountability partners, I think, for a month. Yeah. And we were able to see blind spots in the other person's strategy. And so I do think that's such a powerful thing when you're siloed. You don't see that, or you have groupthink. And then when you kind of branch out and are exposed to more diverse perspectives, all of the light bulb moments happen. And I think that's the juice of a good collaboration.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. So, had a thought. Had a question.
Flew away.
Went away. Well, I was so absorbed in what Stacey was saying, my thought just went away. When you're, the thought is just gone. And we're live, folks. We're real.
Stacey, I love what you're saying, because the blind spots thing, I've definitely had that experience where there's enough vulnerability and enough trust in the partnership where that can be so valuable and you really feel like someone's got your back. And then there's also instances where I felt like in a more transactional partnership, it's felt like picking holes, like someone picking holes in the way that I'm doing things or being. So I think it's worth saying that like lots of collaborations don't work out. And I'm curious actually about like whether anyone has any like deal breakers for like, I won't collaborate if, or like, because we can talk about all the great things about collaboration, but I think over the years, I've definitely like accumulated my little list of like, okay, let me test this out. So I'm curious to hear if anyone has any thoughts on like what you're looking for or looking for not, as it were.
Yeah, there was an experience I had like 2 or 3 years ago. I had really high hopes for it. A lady in my network was putting together like a collective, kind of like what Regina was talking about, like a group of people who can pool their talents to work with larger clients kind of thing. And, it was going to be like equitable. Everybody would make the same rate and contribute what they can and like everything. And it sounded good on paper. And like the ladies were all really nice that were in it. But what happened was it ended up being like really 1 or 2 of us doing like all the work to like promote and get this new collective like out there. And it kind of fell apart. It kind of imploded. It didn't end up going anywhere. One of the members had not been properly vetted, and there was like a Facebook ads fiasco, I guess, and the client was not happy. It just fell apart. So I want to be open to collaborations of that kind of nature again, like a talent pool essentially, but I'm also kind of wary of them. I need definitely like clear expectations, clear roles, clear terms, I guess, not just the feel goodness, even though I want it to feel good too. Like it has to have some logistics and practicality in it as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my question back to you there is how do you make that equitable? How do you make sure that those who are doing the work get compensated appropriately and those who are just gliding along don't get that same compensation?
Yeah,
When
I don't have an answer for that because I haven't figured it out.
When I was in grad school, I don't think you can really apply this to business because we definitely had like the buffer of the professor to like help us through. But we had this professor who would let us grade our, like we had a total number of points that the entire presentation group could get. And like we would grade our people and like give them their amount of points. So you could be like, I did 110% of the work and this person did 30% of what they were supposed to do. And like everyone's grades shake out accordingly. And obviously you can't do that with like money and contracts and stuff. But I do think sometimes that collaborations can kind of feel like a group project in school. Like sometimes you get your randomly assigned group and it's an absolute dream team. Sometimes you pick your best friend and it sucks. And it's just like getting to know the people that you do and don't want to collaborate with and making those educated decisions, like moving forward. But yeah, it's a lot of experimentation. And when things don't work out, at least you hopefully get a good story out of it.
Yeah.
Debbie, you had a whole bodied reaction to that. You want to tell us that story, Debbie?
Well, no, just the fact that, I think fairness becomes it's an unspoken thing. And sometimes it just needs to be spoken, right? We just need to say it out loud. And I think that's my learning is like, speak up about that stuff early. And if you find that people aren't comfortable talking about that stuff early, it's probably a sign that they're not going to be comfortable talking about it down the line and they tend to fall away.
Good point.
So things like, I like to talk about like time scales. Like sometimes I talk about a collaboration experiment, like experiment with a low stakes collaboration, see how that goes, see how our relationship builds. Sometimes I like to, I guess like to spend quite a bit of time in possibility before we go towards action, because sometimes the first possibility you come up with isn't necessarily the best one to collaborate on. And I've really learned to trust my gut because quite often my gut knows what it's talking about, because I really do get that sense of like, afterwards I'm like, why did I override my gut on that one? Like what gave me that idea? But it's worth saying too that I think that there's nothing wrong with collaborations that last for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? Like I think I've come to learn too that like, well, with my business with Yasmin Trust Lab, we had 3.5 years, we served 16 clients, some of whom are still my clients, and some of whom are still her clients because we do different stuff. And we did beautiful, really meaningful work. I think we created some real change. And, our lives were diverging and we had different wants and needs. And it was a bit like a breakup, but we are like very, very close friends now. And I count it absolutely as a success rather than a failure. So I think we need to like take the stigma out of collaborations that end,
Right. I would agree with that completely. I've had 2 major partnerships in my life where I've had business partners. And the first one, my business partner passed away about 6 years into the business. My second one, he left the business after about 4 years. He left to go back into the ministry. We're still great friends. It doesn't mean it has to be the end of the friendship just because it's the end of that collaboration. So, Amanda, you used the word vetting. And I'd like us to go back and talk about that a little bit. How do you go about vetting someone to make sure that they are a good collaborative partner?
I would like to hear others' answers on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, like, I guess it's kind of weird to come out and be like, what are your mission, vision, values? But like, in the business world where I operate, it's pretty easy to understand by looking at their social media and like their website. So like for me, I'll just kind of give like a hard example. If someone, all they talk about is like money, as how and I'm so sorry. Of course, they're like blowing leaves right outside my window. Great. Love this for me.
I am not really hearing it, Lauren.
Yeah, we don't really
hear it.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
you're hearing it more than we are.
Great, because I got like the noise canceling headphones and I can hear it through. So that's where I'm like, ah. But so if someone, if all they talk about is money in their marketing, let's just say, so like do this to, make $20,000 months or, skyrocket your revenue. Unless you're in sales, unless I'm partnering with someone in sales, like that's kind of going to throw a really big red flag to me, because and like my core mission, vision, values, like we don't promise like massive revenue or massive ROI, because a lot of what we do for brands is this foundational, like, foundational work that's going to really establish your brand and your industry and kind of make you become that thought leader. And that's, that has more longevity than like quick sales. So, just making sure that like the way we vet is just by going through that brand or that business or that person's social media is a great place to start. And then also just like having a conversation with them, like, hey, would love to connect, learn more about you. Like, let's hop on the phone if you don't know them very well. But usually if you do know someone pretty well, like if you worked with them a good amount, like, I hate to keep throwing back like Haley or even Amanda, like we've communicated with each other for a while. I have good gut feels about you because I know you, then I will be further along in that vetting process.
I think too, there's also like, just like we have our like value ladders or know, like, trust or whatever, when we're trying to attract clients, we can use our potential collaborators' value ladders as ways to evaluate, like, do they deliver on the things they say they do. People have lower ticket offers, work with them on a lower ticket offer, or, download their freebie and like see what kind of information they're putting out there and what kind of thought goes into it. And that can be a really good indicator of how much effort and intention and thought they put behind, working with you. Like, for example, like Lauren and Amanda are in my membership. The way that I deal with everything in that membership is very similar to the way that I deal with my clients in real, not real life, but, my other clients. So it's a good way to like gauge, how is this person's professionalism? What is their, dedication to seeing a project through the end? Do they over deliver? Like all of these questions that you maybe can't get from just asking, you can try and experience in a different way before committing to a collaboration.
To piggyback on top of that, those are where my best collaborations have come from, is when, I've worked with someone from a client perspective, or they've worked with me from a client perspective, or we've just come together on a project because, I've seen their work or whatever. So I love that you said that, Haley. It's so true.
So I want to answer this wearing two hats. So one hat is in my corporate career, having worked for IBM, at the Pentagon, hardcore, like, ROI type vetting, and we can't screw it up. And then I want to wear my executive coaching hat, where I help women kind of have more of an executive presence. And I do think a part of the vetting process, if you will, could look like ground rules. And there's a nuance to how are we making decisions? How are we managing conflict? What are our communications norms? What are our roles and responsibilities? What are the specific outcomes? Like just like a charter, if you will. And I think my observation has been, and this is, from working with hundreds of people, including, me in my younger days when you didn't know what the heck you were doing. If you don't kind of lay some of these things out, there's no opportunity to not only course correct, but there's no way to have lessons learned and sort of do better the next time. And I think as women, we are such collaborators, paralleled with being very nurturing and very warm-hearted and not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings. Sometimes in a collaboration, we may not be truth tellers in you're not giving me what I need, or we agreed to we're not having those in our mind conflict conversations, which actually can be very productive and have a healthier outcome. And so I think us pushing through some of these more executive type skill sets would actually bear out, juicier fruit, if you will. And I think it's just innate sometimes where a little bit conditioned to sort of be nice over a result that may make a few people unhappy. And I think there could be a happy medium in the by virtue of actually documenting these things for collaborations. Keeps everybody on the same page.
I think that's powerful advice. I really do. That setting the expectations in the beginning can make the difference between a wonderful collaboration that ends nicely versus one that falls apart with everybody going, you know, I'll never do anything with her again. You know? Right. So yeah, that is really, I like the word charter that you used.
I like
Talk
that
about
too.
that a little bit more, please.
So a charter is, we like to keep it to 2 pages. And, you know, I'm a writer, so that's hard. But a charter typically has a couple of very specific sections. So one is kind of the vision, like what are we here? What's our purpose for doing this thing, this service,
Right.
whatever. The other thing is, you know, what are our objectives? What are our strategic objectives? Do we want to scale? Do we want to get X number of clients? Do we want to just get awareness? Like, and make sure that the outcomes serve everybody that is in the collaboration. It can't just
Right.
be meeting the needs of one party. And then
Right.
we talk about kind of who's on the team and what's their role. Some people may be an advisor. Some people may be the project manager. And I think in a collaboration, while we all may be the CEOs of our own companies, it's important for the collaboration to really understand who's doing what and by when. And so you would kind of list out the roles and responsibilities. And then how are we making decisions? Is it just 2 people? Is it everybody? And that can lend itself to, if everybody has a vote, sometimes you can be there all day, all night, all year.
Yeah.
So what's the veto? And then you want to talk about how you're managing risks. If there's like where I'm in Florida, I was reading this story where this woman planned her wedding for like 3 years and the hurricane like totally destroyed the entire resort. Like that's like a worst case scenario. But if you're having an event or you're doing something, like what are the risks inherent with what we're doing? And then how are we going to kind of mitigate for that? And then you want to talk about communications norms, right? Are we email people? Are we text people? Do we send singing telegrams? How often, right? I want to respond to an email within 24 hours. Right. Some people are like, hey, I don't respond to emails on the weekend. So kind of understanding what are our rules and how are we collaborating in this little ecosystem, I think really provides for a healthy jumping off point. And then you're going to have your normal group, norm, form, storm, perform happening anyway. So this kind of at least gives the ship an idea of where it's going, while we toss about figuring it out.
I like that. Anybody have any comments on that, or have you used a charter before?
Yeah, no, I really like that idea of a charter. And I think sometimes we shy away from actually like setting it down that clearly or that formally, but like, actually setting that down because we're hoping for that heart connection, that heart-led collaboration. And so it feels like if we do this, that's a little too getting away from the heart, but that actually having that frees you up to not have like frustration or stuff enter it and mess up the heart connection, So I think that's really great.
Yeah,
I think Stacey, I'm sorry, Debbie, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say it gives you something to refer to. And also, as Stacey says, it takes skillfulness and it takes courage and it takes deftness to raise it when it becomes an issue too. So I'm helping in the work that I do with organizations, mission-driven organizations. I'm doing a lot of work, as you can imagine, post-pandemic, it's still kind of out there, but the kind of the impact on teams moving to hybridity or moving to barely seeing each other and how that's impacted collaboration within teams. And one of the things is, sometimes they haven't been through that process. So sometimes I take them through exactly the process that Stacey's describing of how do we want first of all, relationship building, because sometimes the relationship isn't even there. So really getting to know each other, like finding common interests and concerns. then stating possibility of like, okay, let's spend some time thinking about what we want our working relationships to be like, what our expectations of each other are, you know, how quickly are we expected to respond to Slack? Like, are there things that actually people need to know about us, about how we work at our best, right? Like, you know, what are my conditions for thriving? Then we can get into action, but we need to kind of have possibility and relationship on the shelf so that we can come back to it. And a lot of the work that I do session work, and I also do coaching for individual leaders. Often, you know, I say to them, look, I talk to your colleagues, I know them, but this isn't my relationship with them, it's yours. So how can I coach you to have the courage to raise the fact that somebody's not living up to the agreement, or someone is not rupturing the culture in some way, maybe unintentionally, but that needs to be addressed. So I think, as Stacey said, it is partly the skill to facilitate the actual charter, and partly it's the kind of executive skills, the courage, and the qualities. I guess what Amanda said about wanting the heart connection to live on. It's about speaking the truth, isn't it?
I think part of it too is like understanding yourself and knowing what conditions you need to be able to ask for what you want. Like, I know I'm someone who, if I'm in like a ongoing contract or ongoing collaboration and there's no set point to revisit the terms, I will be unhappy until it ends, but I will never say anything. So it's like, I know it's important to me in these collaborations to be like, okay, after each month, after each stage, after each project, like, we will both revisit this and we will both say like, I liked this, I didn't like this, I liked this, I didn't like this. Because if I don't say that in the beginning when everything's neutral, I'm just going to be like an unhappy camper, but I'll still have a smile on my face and no one will ever know.
Haley, I love that you said that. That was so vulnerable. And I think that, you know, I'm sure you guys have read Brene Brown's work and sort of seen her podcast and stuff. And one of the things we talk a lot about is vulnerability coupling with courage. And I think really saying, you know, this really either hurt my feelings, or this really didn't sit well with me, or I think I want to talk more about it. Like speaking up and setting forth your truth really opens the door for other people to do the same. And I think sometimes we think it's going to make us not likable. And so we stay quiet, wanting to be liked and approved of, and kind of missing an opportunity for even deeper connection.
I would agree on that, and on all points. And thank you for that vulnerability, Haley. Thank you. So let me ask you a question, ladies. When we've been kind of talking about group collaborations, would you use this same tool? Have you used this same type of tool, this charter, in one-on-one collaborations when it's just you and one other partner? Stacey,
I mean,
you're nodding.
I think that's, you know, we all run businesses here. I think that's essentially what a contract is with a client, right? Like, I'm going to do this, you're going to do this, here are the terms. Like, I know we don't often like call it a collaboration, but that's really what it is when you're working one-on-one with a client, whether you're doing, you know, coaching or marketing or branding or whatever. You know, you're still going back and forth with the client. It still takes two people to make a successful project out of it. So,
right. Very good. How about partnerships when you're coming together, like say a joint venture with someone?
Yeah, I think if you're going to do it, and there are different types of collaborations, right? There's one for visibility. There's one for, you know, feel good. Maybe it's you volunteering your time. There's ones where you build your business, but there are some that are very strategic. I know for me, I work with a lot of clients, like I said, who are raising children, you know, in their 40s and 50s, because we were Gen X and we waited forever to have kids. And then also taking care of our parents that are living longer, but haven't planned for the longevity of their life or the illnesses that they're getting and so forth. And so I'm having to really think outside the box and try to partner with people that are in the hospitality business or the retirement home business or the telehealth. And it feels a bit uncomfortable because I'm like, oh, is that my wheelhouse? But I do think that me collaborating, and it starts with a one-on-one relationship, but also it's having to do a little bit of research to figure out if I really can serve them first, instead of me just showing up like, hey, you look like you could help me. So I think that when it's one-on-one, this is me, if I approach it from the perspective of how can I serve your needs by virtue of what I'm doing, it lessens the, anxiousness of a new person coming into the forum wanting to do some sort of strategic partnership with you. You're showing them where you're aligned. And so I think that serves two purposes. One, it strengthens trust really quickly, but you also stay true to your value set personally, but also the vision for your company and the purpose. And so once all of that feels aligned, it's much simpler to push forward than just kind of throwing Play-Doh and hoping it sticks, right?
Throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah.
You did bring out very good, ladies, and I appreciate everything everyone has had to say. But in what you were just talking about, Stacy, there's an element that I think is so important, and that is that giving value first. Always offering value before you ask for something. A friend of mine, Jay Fazette, who's head of JVology, he says joint ventures are a game of I'll go first, meaning I'll serve you first. And that's so important, I think, in any relationship, but especially in business relationships, when you're wanting to create that collaborative venture, you need to be willing to step up to the plate and say, yeah, let me do something for you. Awesome.
And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? I think a lot of times we hold back because we want perfection. I'm okay with a scrappy 70%.
I love that.
Yeah, men go out and do it. Like, men don't wait till they're 100% there. They're like, oh, wait, I only read one chapter, but I can tell you what the book said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to get out of our perfect modes, right?
For sure.
So true. And I think too, I've really been struck by what Amanda said about our clients being collaborators. And I stand by this? I think I stand by this, which is like, I think I'm only interested in collaboration. Like, maybe that's all I really want, is like, when I contract people to help me in my business, I want to find people I can collaborate with to really help me take my business to the next level. When I collaborate with clients, like, I'm working with the entire system that there's their business. That's enormous trust that they place in me. And also, I can't do it without their collaboration, their insight, their cooperation and investment in the process.
Right.
And when it comes to Coven, I think there's so many women in the community already who have so much to offer that we're already thinking about, like, how can we allow them to bring value to each other? Like, it's possible that Amanda kind of spotted me in our LinkedIn pod as someone who really thrives on community and bringing people together. But I almost think it's got to the point now where I want to be in collaborations and I'm not really interested in much else.
I'm with you on that one, Debbie. I'm with you on that one. So we've just got a few minutes left, but I think what I'd like to do is to go around the room and have each of you maybe give one final thought about collaborations, whatever that is for you, and also let us know how people can get in touch with you, how they can reach out to you. And we're going to go in the reverse order, with Amanda being last. So we're going to start with Haley. Haley, would you give us your I love it, your final thoughts on collaboration, and let folks know how they can get in touch with you?
I think, like, my biggest takeaway and just overall thought on collaboration is that opportunity for collaboration is everywhere as long as you're open to it. And if you are just looking for, everything that you do as a way to both give and receive from the people that you're interacting with, you can find and create some really awesome collaborations and partnerships. speaking of amazing ways to collaborate and connect with people, the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. I'm sure I'm linked in here somewhere. And then the best way to hang out with me on LinkedIn is in my membership Thought Leaders Collective, where we give thought leadership LinkedIn prompts via email every week. Amanda's in it, Lauren's in it. I think they like it because they haven't canceled yet. So that's the best way to hang out with me on LinkedIn and everywhere else online.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. Appreciate that. Stacy.
Yeah, I think for me, collaboration is just an expansion of what we do every day. I think about carpool. I think about the soccer moms, like we collaborated to have a breakfast for the kids because they won a game. Today's my birthday, you guys. So
Oh, that's right. Happy birthday. I forgot.
so I'm sure you're collaborating about some kind of party or something for me this weekend. If not, I'll be so mad. Anyway, I think that we collaborate instinctively, right? And as humans, we need each other to thrive. And so I think expanding that to the way that we do business, the way that we build relationships, the way that we give our services and serve and show up for the world should be an extension of what we normally do. And I think, not to oversimplify it, but if you've ever watched kids on the playground negotiate a toy, you can learn good and bad things from that. I think that is scalable, and I think that it is natural. It has become more prevalent post pandemic. And you can find me, like Haley said, on LinkedIn, Stacy Luces. My website is Evolution Executive Coaching. And I have really enjoyed meeting all of you, and I'm totally going to follow you and stay in touch, and maybe we can collaborate.
Awesome. Stacy, your sound dropped out for a little bit. Would you go back and give your contact information again?
Sure.
It didn't go
The quickest way
completely
to
away, but
find
it
me
dropped
is
down.
on LinkedIn, and I think somebody was actually calling me. It's my birthday, so the phone's popping off here. And my website is evolutionexecutivecoaching.com, but LinkedIn is the best way to find me. And if you have any questions about what I do or what we've said here, I'd love to entertain them. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. Lauren.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give the warm and fuzzies on this one. You guys had, since we got those out of the way with Stacy and Haley, I'm going to come at it from like a more selfish perspective. So the thing I want to leave with collaboration is don't discount it as one of the biggest ways you can attract visibility, to yourself and to your business. Obviously don't look at it as the main thing, but just know when you open your mind to collaboration that in turn it can open a lot of different doors that you ordinarily didn't know possible. You're sharing audiences at that point. So, just keep that in mind. Be open to collaboration, for the greater cause. So so you can find me on LinkedIn. I love hanging out on there, sharing a lot of thought leadership content there, thanks to the Thought Leadership Collective by Haley Johnson. So hang out a lot there. I also have my own podcast, She's Busy AF, and I'm there a lot as well, once a week. So lots of fun happenings there. And then of course on our website, braingoodtime.com, it's pretty fun. We're in the process of redoing it and adding a lot of movement and making it look really, really fun. And I just think it's an enjoyable experience. So, okay, I'm going to get off my high horse now. This was a really awesome conversation. Thank you so much for having me, Regina and Amanda. So good to see you here, Haley, and meet you, Debbie and Stacy.
Awesome. And by the way, I've been wanting to tell you ever since I first saw it, I love your name, Brand Good Time. That's just awesome.
You. Thank you. Yeah, fun play on words there. I was like, how do we incorporate this? Yeah. Thank you.
Very, very good. Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Debbie, your final comments.
Yeah, so I guess I'm like a developer of people. So I guess my take home is collaboration is a beautiful way to learn the skills of interconnectedness. So that is setting expectations, making clear requests, setting boundaries, and playing in the sandpit of your strengths with other people's strengths. Like there's so much learning to be done in a collaboration. I learn so much about myself every time I collaborate, and I get totally fascinated and enriched by the people that I meet. So I would say collaboration is a great source of learning. And the ways you can get in touch with me, LinkedIn, Debbie Danon, nice alliterative, memorable name. And you can also find me at www.debbiedanon.com. Very easy to remember. And also at Coven Collective, COVN Collective.com, where we are building a liberatory coaching community for women. So if that appeals to you, if you want to create change in your life, and collaborate with awesome women from around the world, then join us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate that so much. Miss Amanda.
Yes. So I think, well, yes, seconding what everybody else said. We all had good takeaways. Really. Going last is kind of hard. So I was like, well, I already said that. I think we need to remember, we've talked about like strategic collaborations and heart-led collaborations. And I think we need to remember they can be both. Like it can be strategic for you and your business, but also, really connecting with the human on the other side and having that like heart to heart and the just feel good too. It can be both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can, have a good time, do good, really connect and share, and also get visibility for your business or, whatever it is for your business. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So that's my last point on that, I guess. Awesome. Where you can find me, like everybody else said, LinkedIn. It's the main one. It's just Amanda Guerassio. Also on Instagram sporadically. And then my website is just studioguerassio.com is where you can find me as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda Guerassio.
There you go.
Been practicing in my head. I don't know why I struggle so with your last name, but I have.
We literally were practicing this like 5 minutes yesterday, guys.
Yeah. So you know what I finally did? I wrote down Grrrr.
Guerassio. Yep.
So I try to write the phonetics for me when I struggle with someone's name. Oh my goodness. Ladies, this has been such a pleasure to meet all of you and to interact with you here and to learn more about collaboration and share your knowledge and wisdom about it with the world. I appreciate you so much and look forward to connecting with you in other ways and an ongoing collaboration. Absolutely. I'm always looking for collaboration. So I look forward to discovering with each of you what that might look like. So, thank you, folks, for joining us here again today on Collaboration Conversations. Please come back and see us again as we have more guest co-hosts while we wait for Pearl's return. And I think we're going to continue having guest co-hosts even when Pearl returns because it's been so much fun. Just, want to leave with you, look for those collaboration opportunities in your life. They exist. They're there. You might have to dust things off a little bit to find them if you haven't been looking, but set out with the intention of collaborating with others. You will be amazed at the results that you get. And with that, we'll all say bye-bye, and I'll see you next time on Collaboration Conversations.